I'm just going to sit here for a minute and let the algorithm do its thing. And then we'll get started with Astro Insights Live, the week ahead forecast. So, if you're new here, thank you so much for joining in. My name is Mel Rose, and my sweet wife, or my name is Jennifer Rose. I was thinking, oh, I got to introduce Mel Rose, and I wanted to switch it to be on top. I noticed that we
Funny.
have a delay, and we really appreciate you hanging in there with us. We live in a basement, quite literally, and we are doing our very best with the equipment that we have. So, thank you. Again, you're watching Rose Tarot and Astrology. My name is Jennifer Rose, and that is my sweet wife, Mel Rose. She's an astrologer here. We are intuitive astrologers and intuitive tarot card readers based in Kansas City, Missouri. Born and raised. We were raised south of Kansas City, Missouri, and we've known each other since the third grade. So, fun fact, we haven't been together since the third grade, which would have been an even more fun, maybe. I don't know. That doesn't sound very fun to me, but
It sounds
doesn't
sweet,
sound
but
very exploratory in the world to me. So, like, I love you and all, but I'm glad that, So we have
yeah.
love in our 40s is what happened. So anyway, we are Rose Tarot and Astrology here in Kansas City, Missouri. And what we're going to do is we're going to recap astrology from last week, maybe talk about some current events or some events surrounding that time. I believe we're doing a recap. And then we're going to talk about the astrology for next week.
Yes.
And I will be monitoring the chat today as best I can. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. We're getting very close to having 1,000 subscribers. We appreciate all 820 subscribers already here learning astrology. This is how I learned astrology, you all, with Mel Rose. If you want to watch some of her earlier videos, even though they might not match the dates, she goes really in detail and shows the signs and all the symbols and everything of the planets and such. And that's how I learned. So anyway, I'm just kind of talking to see if anybody's going to join us live, but I see that everybody is sleeping after all those wonderful protests. So thank you from the disabled person who has a loud mouth and loves to protest and make signs, but I also wasn't able to walk very well this weekend. So I'm glad to say that stuff is only fleeting for me sometimes. So today I'm able to walk perfectly, but it is not always the way that I can protest any longer. So I really, really do appreciate you all out there doing the work in that way for those of us who can't, and really, really watching the protest over and over again. Just the sheer numbers of people. Like, it's not about the protests. It's a little bit about the signs. It's not about the protests for me, but I really am getting emotional just to see all of us getting together, like all of the different sides now, just like coming together in peace, like in peace. And so I get tears in my eyes watching that happen. So thank you so much for expressing your voice and putting your body out there, even though, there could have been something that happened. I'm so glad that there wasn't any more than what happened yesterday. So we're living in challenging times, but I really feel like for us as Americans, we're on the upswing of some things. Like, I know that it seems like a lot of things are going in the toilet, but I feel like we're going to drain that toilet. I don't know. Maybe we just clean the toilet up a little. I don't know, but I really do feel like that gathering together, and that makes my Pisces heart, my Libra sun, so happy. And of course, Capricorn really loves all that because y'all buying gas and y'all buying markers. So my big three are happy. How about you, Mel?
I am really happy to see the people out there protesting. I know that my brother went down to the protest yesterday, and I know that tens of thousands of people are out there just like, joining together, speaking our minds. There are ways in which we are all a little different from one another, and we can be drastically different from, somebody who lives just right down the block from us. But when it comes to our safety, the safety of our communities, the functionality of our communities, allowing things to work the way they do work for us. That's very important. We have an American way of life that, includes like due process under the law, and it includes amnesty for people who are having struggles in their homelands, and it includes just really trying to include and uplift everyone. I think those are American values, and those are the values that we are pumping up right now with those protests, and I'm really happy to see that. Greetings, fellow Earthlings. Welcome back to Rose Tarot and Astrology. I am your host, Mel Rose. This is my beautiful wife, Jennifer Rose, talented psychic, medium, and tarot reader. You don't always even use the tarot cards. You're just kind of a psychic. So today is Sunday. It's June 15, 2025, friends. Welcome back. This is our week ahead forecast, and the title of our week ahead forecast is Challenge and Change. These are the times that we're in, friends. The protests and the challenges that we're meeting, the stuff we're seeing in government, the stuff we're seeing in terms of crime and violence, in terms of war and conflict. This is what transformation looks like. We are in the fire, folks. Okay, so yes, it's a challenging time, and yes, we're going to be seeing a lot of changes, small ones, big ones, surprising ones, not so surprising ones, things that give us hope and things that give us reason to lose hope. So always, as far as I'm concerned, always err on the side of hope. When all else fails, you have hope that things will get better, and then you can imagine what could be better, and then you can move in that direction, right? So bringing us up to date, if you're ready for me to do that, Jennifer.
I am. I was just wondering, could you tell me again where I could find that chart of the moment?
Oh, I put it
I'm going to go search for it
in your messenger. I sent it to you in Messenger.
Oh, okay, great. That's what I was looking. So everyone, I'm going to be monitoring the chat and looking at my phone. And I think, while I think that's very rude, I know that it's kind of okay to do in this show fashion, but I'm going to see if I can find the chart of the moment while Mel starts her Astrology Today portion of this. And
okay.
So thank you.
Okay. So bringing us up to date, today is Sunday, the 15th of 2020 of June 2025, and earlier this week on Monday, Jupiter moved on into Cancer, and that was shortly after Mercury had just moved on into Cancer, and Venus also moved on into Taurus. So if you've noticed a shift in vibrations since the beginning of this month, you aren't alone, and it's not all in your head. Okay, Mercury and Venus, and especially Jupiter, when they change signs, they pull a little focus. You feel a shift in the energies. When it's Mercury, it's sort of about how we're thinking and how we're planning and what our conversations are about. And when it's Venus, it's sort of about what we want and how we're going to get it. But when it comes to Jupiter, Jupiter is a planet that changes only once a year, whereas those other planets change every few weeks or once a month or so. This one changes only once a year, and when Jupiter changes signs, it feels big. It's a big difference. Jupiter is a great motivator. It is the principle of expansion in our astrological themes, and it's about how we connect with the larger world to get a higher education, to have bigger experiences, to go travel abroad, to learn, to expand our minds, to grow as human beings. And part of growing as human beings is like being in relationship to the world at large. So when Jupiter is involved, there's always showing up for things that's involved, where you want good fortune, because Jupiter can bring good fortune. It can bring blessings. It can expand the stuff you like. You have to be focused on that stuff that you like. You have to be focused on those positive goals for the bigger, better life that you imagine for yourself. Okay, so this week Jupiter moved on into Cancer, and that's a very good fortune vibe. The first week of it, not so easy. It might feel like this thing that I thought was a good idea, maybe it wasn't such a good idea now. But if you've made a commitment, stick to your plan for now, because Jupiter in Cancer for the rest of the year is going to give us major blessings in terms of good fortune. It can make it rain money in our lives. It can make it rain love in our lives. Whatever that thing is that we need it to rain in our lives, it can do that for us. Okay, so hang in there, be patient, and stick with your commitments at this time. Jupiter in Cancer will appreciate that. This past Monday and Tuesday, we had a lot of challenging astrology come down, and no doubt it has been a challenging week. We have seen some things in the news that are very upsetting. We have seen a lot of war and conflict and escalation of conflict. We've seen a lot of things that are confusing. I want to remind us that Saturn and Neptune are together at the beginning of Aries right now. So Aries is a very warlike, things popping off kind of vibration anyway. And when Saturn and Neptune are combined there, it's really just like we can't really see what's real. Maybe like there's a fog, so you cannot see the floor, and you're not sure of your footing. You're not sure of your foundation. Okay. It feels a little slippery right now. And again, this is what transformation feels like. This is what change feels like. This is what we're in the middle of. So, step carefully, be a little bit cautious as you're moving forward throughout this week. We also have some hopeful and healing astrology early this week that I think may have helped us clarify a sense of resolve to be a part of the solution and to advocate for ourselves in ways that help us solve problems and feel supported. So that was Mars trine Chiron, and that was Mercury sextiling Venus. Those are both very positive kind of vibrations that came down on Tuesday and Wednesday for us. And, Mars trine Chiron is, it's really about being able to take action to solve a problem, especially a long-standing problem, to mend a fence with somebody, to heal a rift, or to heal something within ourselves. And that Mercury with Venus vibration was really about being able to talk about what we want, being able to ask for the things that we need and desire in a way that it will happen, in a way that we can have a productive conversation and make things happen for ourselves. So I thought that was very positive. And of course, there was a beautiful full moon in Sagittarius on Wednesday, which is giving vibes of culminating inspiration and courage and good fortune. Jennifer and I didn't do much for the full moon this month. It's been a very busy time for us, but we always make sure to go out and view the moon on the full moon and offer up our appreciation for its role in our creative lives. And so I want to know how it went for you guys. How did it go? Please let us know in the comments.
Hey, I know we have a little bit of a delay, but I wanted to say, would you tell people though what we did experience by
the light of the full moon?
Street?
Yes, thank you for reminding me about that, Jennifer. Okay, so Jennifer and I were outside saying our goodnight moon. Basically, we go out in the evening and we just, enjoy being out there where it's peaceful in our little suburban neighborhood after dark. And we went out to sit under the full moon. And we could hear these noises. And, we live near a lake, so there's a lot of nighttime noises. There's frogs and crickets. There's all kinds of birds. But we could hear these noises. It sounded like a not a piercing, but a screeching whistle sort of noise. And you'd hear one, and then you'd hear one in the distance, and one closer, and another one in the distance. And we were like,
definitely a call and response.
Yeah, and we were like, what is that? And as we were sitting there, and we're kind of like just outside of this street lamp light. Okay, so we can see everything that the lamp light is illuminating in our yard and the neighbor's yard. And I saw this big owl. I guess we have spotted owls around here. This big owl, it flew just above the line of that light across the house next door and up into the tree. And like it went into the tree and it almost just like disappeared. I couldn't see it anymore. And we kept hearing that noise. And then what happened next? A little owl came and landed on top of the street sign right under the street lamp. And it was making that call.
Yep.
And then another one came and sat with him, and they were both singing. And Jennifer was like,
Yes.
I'm sure there's a third one out there. I really think there's a third one out there, which I wasn't so sure. But eventually we had 3 of them. But one of them had jumped down, and what they were doing was they were practicing their sonar location. It turns out those owls can use like 18 different noises. But they were practicing hunting under the street lamp with their parent like up above watching them. It was amazing.
Yes, it was. I think it's more like they make 30 different sounds.
Oh, yeah.
But we are not owl experts, and I always have to come in with a correction because Capricorn rising, ding ding ding. If you have a Capricorn rising, you might think you're right about everything sometimes. I'm just demonstrating this for you in real time so you feel engaged. But yeah, like what really got me was the mom, like that shadow, the big shadow of her wings flying over them, and they were in the light. Then they would fly down and they would, pick at something in the yard, in the neighbor's yard, but they were flapping their wings and they really looked like they were just walking down the sidewalk. But they were really just like, I just never seen anything like that before, like, I don't know, sheltered.
Well, and it struck me that they felt really safe where they were. Like, those were baby owls. They were less than half the size of that big mama owl. And they were just out there playing in the street light, having fun, walking around on the ground. You don't see owls do that stuff, but
I was really surprised that it was owls that was doing that whistling. Like, I really thought for a minute, I think I told Mel as soon as we went outside, I'm like, that seems really predatory. Like it was like a call response whistle, So, I mean, if you're hunting at all, with someone else, you might whistle back and forth, like I'm sure the military does it. I don't know, but like there's got to be some whistling happening, right? And I thought, oh my gosh. And then of course it's owls, predators on our street.
That was awesome. And the owl symbolism is just beautiful. I love owl symbolism. Owls are sacred to Athena. They represent wisdom and insight and strategy. So I love having that owl symbolism, and I just love that we got to like really witness that moment because it probably wasn't meant for us.
No, it definitely wasn't meant for us, but I think that we're good citizens of the nature.
Yeah.
Like we were good participants in the way. So I think that we were, except for I did try to make noises, and then I had one of the owl turn and look at me, and I was like, oh,
and I was like, why were you trying to do that?
I want to see it.
Stop it.
I know. She's like, stop. I'm like, I know. And I was like, you're right. I shouldn't do that. But it did turn its head at me, and I was like, oh no, I'm not dinner. Okay. Like, little babies.
He's like, you want some of this?
You want a piece of me? No.
Okay, so coming back to astrology, today is June 15th. The sun is in Gemini. The moon is in Aquarius. That's air and air, friends. It's very conversational. It's very chatty. It's very friendly. It's very idealistic, okay? Especially with Aquarius involved, it's super idealistic. We are talking about our principles and high ideals right now. Obviously, that is the vibration right now. The moon is waning this week. It's getting smaller, which is our signal to release the materials, the artwork, the stuff you've been planning to put out into the world. Also to reflect and tell the truth about your experience, and also to just be letting go of what no longer serves you, okay, in terms of physical stuff, but also in terms of mental and emotional stuff. If it's dragging you down and you know that it is, it's time to really think about how you're going to let it go. I know that Jennifer and I are thinking about how we're going to let things go all the time. And it's not always as simple as it sounds. And so you have to have a plan, and you have to sometimes maybe do a little research and find out how other people have let things go, or, just have an idea how you're going to do that. Because often just cutting yourself off of something doesn't work. And we have a couple of key transits to cover for today. Mars, which is in Leo, is squaring Uranus in Taurus. Okay, so expect surprise disruptions in your passion and routine. Okay, this can be like lightning striking. This could be like, okay, I'm out here making progress, I'm walking forward, I'm making moves, and then something surprising happens, something changes, and it's not what you expected, and you might have to be able to change your plan on the move to roll with the punches, so to speak. And it doesn't have to be a punch in the gut. It could just be like aha, there's a technology that does this for me now, or aha, I don't have to work as hard for this. I could do it this way. So just be open to those surprises, be ready, because we're not always very welcoming of surprises, and we're not welcoming of surprises. We can't necessarily see what's positive about them. So if we try to be a little bit more open, then we can look for the bright side as they're coming at us, and we can say, okay, I don't love this, but here's the good thing about it, and I'm gonna roll with that. That's Mars square Uranus, which is happening today. Also today, Jupiter in Cancer completes a square to Saturn in Aries. These two have been relatively square for a while, and they will continue to be relatively square for a while, but it's strong today. And that's Jupiter in Cancer, which is that greater benefic that wants to expand our blessings. It's in Cancer, wants to make it rain. Beautiful flower petals and roses and money and love and great things in our lives. Whereas Saturn in Aries is on a struggle bus. Saturn is sort of the struggle anyway, and then it's in Aries where it doesn't really care to be, because Aries is impulsive and Saturn wants planning. Okay, so it's a little bit of an expansion and contraction vibration. It's a little bit of a hurry up and wait, okay? It feels a little to me like hope turning to frustration as we face real limitations, which has been a theme ongoing, but just understand that vibration is very, very strong right now, okay? Where we have hope, we also know what we desire the least. Okay, where we have hope, we know that we know what we dread to lose. So that's why hope turns into frustration when we see our hopes being worked against, or not being realized, or just falling on deaf ears, or not being really manageable at this time. Okay, so maintain hope. Like I said, you can always maintain hope. There's always hope of something better. And if you can imagine something better, then we can make something better happen. Also today, the moon, no, that's not today. That's tomorrow, but okay, but that's it for today. Okay, so what we've got for today is Sun in Gemini, Moon in Aquarius, very airy, very intellect-driven vibe today, very planning vibe. And then you've got Mars square Uranus, so expect some surprises, expect to have to adjust to the way you're moving forward, in light of new information. And then Jupiter squaring Saturn, which is that hurry up and wait vibration, or battling with frustration, where we really want to keep applying hope. And then we move on into Monday. And on Monday, the moon moves into Pisces. So moon out of Aquarius into Pisces, we become a little less community-minded and more just well, they're both pretty community minded, but more just about our connection to the all one. It's more of a spiritual vibration. It's more about feeling like everything is here together, and it's all love, my friends. It's the cup full of love. Pisces to me is the ace of hearts, the ace of cups. So that cup full of love says that, you know, you have a bottomless well of love to draw from. There's no end to the amount of care and empathy and compassion and love that you can provide to other people. It's your choice how much you're going to provide. And of course, you know, if you're always pouring out and you're never receiving, you're not going to feel like it's very balanced, and it doesn't work very well. But that shouldn't keep you from wanting to give love. You just have to give it where you know it's going to be reciprocated, right?
Yes, and I think that kind of goes back to, I think that I'm already feeling that, like, just seeing people gather together like they have, like that is what gets my heart all squishy and gushy and makes my eyes cry. It's just like seeing all these people together, and it's just not, you know, it's just not deemed safe to do that. You know, like a lot of people don't go out because it's just not safe. They worry about the shootings and things.
Yeah.
So it's really nice that we could have this happen, and I don't know. So just gets my squishy heart.
I'm proud of my city too. You know, we live in Kansas City, and there were no Kings protests, not just in Kansas City, but in the satellite cities around Kansas City. Here in our city, Lee's Summit, there was no Kings protest. So, you know, I'm just really proud of the people in my community for, you know, showing up and standing up for all of us.
Right. And doing it in love, you know, like this is you know, whether you're for or against the current president there, we're saying no kings. We are America. We don't do kings. Yeah. So it's a great vibration to have, you know, like as we're trying to figure out how to go forward, we know that we don't want kings. Yeah. That is still the same 200 whatever years later. You know, we still don't want kings. And that's something that we can all agree on.
Yeah. And I think that the desire for kings is a desire to go back to white supremacy ways. And I'm really against that. Okay.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Moving on to Tuesday, June 17, 2025, Mars enters Virgo. And this is a shift from bold action to methodical action. Okay. So it's a time to, you know, like maybe we've been working to make the rough shape of things, but now we're going to start refining the edges. Okay. Mars in Leo was bold, having the endurance to see some actions through. And now as he moves into Virgo, become more methodical and particular about what we do and how it gets done. This is like putting the finishing touches on a house that you worked hard to build. Okay. Sure, the walls and the roof, they matter a lot. You got to have floors, you got to have toilets, but it's really not complete without things like a porch light and a doorbell and a mat and a screen door. You know, you got to paint, you got to put the finishing touches on. So that's where Mars and Virgo comes in. It's really like refining, making our actions a little smoother, and making our actions more particular and more based on details. And then on June 18th, which is this Wednesday, we have that waning half moon as the moon moves into Aries. So waning half moon, that's really the halfway point in this waning moon process, from full back to new. And it's a time when we really kind of spring into action anyway to start pushing things out the door that we've decided we can no longer use. So for it to be moving into Aries this Wednesday is appropriate because, you know, it says, I'm done with this. I'm going to push it out. Moon in Aries gives us that inside vibe, that personal, that even in your body vibe, that you want to take active initiative, you want to get things done, you want to make bold starts, and you also want to create boundaries. When the moon is in Aries, it's a good time to like let people know, like, hey, I know, but this is my boundary. Okay. And then moving on into The 19th, there's not really a whole lot going on. There is a Mars and Saturn vibration there that is a little bit, so this is going to have to do with our the way we're making progress and what our responsibilities are. So we need to check our progress against the list of things we said we were going to do and make sure that we're on task. Okay. But then coming into Friday, yes.
No, you're already moving to Friday. I was going to talk about the boundaries in Aries.
Oh, please go ahead.
Well, I just wondered, with the combination of the sun being in Gemini and the moon in Aries, like what type of boundaries do you think, if you mix those two things, with the energies of what the Gemini sun is and with the energies of what the moon in Aries is, what do you think those themes might be about boundaries? Would it be about how you communicate? Like, I have a problem with my tone of voice, and I was just told that I speak too emotionally. Those are things that I have to look into and, like, deal with on some level, because these are people here. And if one is thinking it, like, maybe 100, you know what I mean? So would that be,
yes,
does that make sense?
Yes, that Gemini sun and Aries moon could be about, drawing boundaries around the way you speak, about, really trying to get straight to the point, trying to communicate your point in the most direct point A to point B fashion. It can also be drawing verbal boundaries like, hey, I know you're frustrated, but you can't talk to me like that.
Right. Right. And just really just like letting it be like that. I think a lot of us just think that after that, that's going to be a confrontation. But I've been shown recently, just in those situations, that it was really just like, oh, okay, and it was all over with. It doesn't have to be a big, huge thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, understand that
okay. And then maybe about boundaries, about how people are going to treat you or how they're going to talk to you.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yes. There was a time in my life when I refrained from saying anything critical of anybody that I cared about, because I didn't want to hurt their feelings. I didn't want to have a fight or a conflict with them. But, what I found out is that when you tell people how you feel and they're used to you doing that, it's not a fight or a conflict most of the time. So the first couple times it might feel a little confrontational, but, you can just be like, I'm not trying to have a fight with you. I just need to say, please don't call me stupid. Like, that's not nice. I don't want to use that. I don't want to hear you use that word about me. I don't want to hear you use that word about you, just as an example. But, just don't talk about me that way. And don't talk about my friends like that. That kind of thing can definitely be the kind of boundary setting that we're doing this Wednesday.
Right. I got you. Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm going to use that energy to kind of work on how I talk to myself and how I, that's still like my most severe part is, how I talk to myself and how my brain works. So changing the way that my communication is, giving myself some boundaries. Like, you can only call yourself stupid like 5 times a day now. Okay.
Personally,
I mean, like, that would be like a good boundary for me, basing on how many times I normally call myself something. So I feel like even that little bit of a step, even that little bit of a boundary is still a freedom. It still shows you how much you can take and how much you can't, and then you just move that barometer back and forth. And it seems like that sun and moon aspect is just a perfect day for that. I love that. I've got a barometer for Wednesday of this week to set some boundaries finally.
Yes, that's good. Wonderful. All right.
Watch out, girl.
Watch out.
It might be you. Don't you be talking to me like that.
It's always me. It's always me.
Nah.
Okay.
I love you. Okay, so I'll shut up about Wednesday's aspects and we're going on to Thursday.
Okay, so we're going to go on past Thursday, though. Like, Thursday has that Mars and Saturn vibration that is just like, make sure that your actions are in alignment with your goals. Okay, make sure your actions are in alignment with your are in alignment with your responsibilities. But on Friday, we have the summer solstice and the sun moves into Cancer. Okay, so that's the big moment of this week, is this Friday. I'm glad it's coming up on a Friday. It's Venus's day. It's a good day for feeling loving and for cooperating with one another. And, okay, so first I want to say, when the sun enters Cancer, that is the summer solstice. That is the pagan celebration of Letha, which means light. It's the longest day of the year here in the Northern Hemisphere. Shortest day of the year down in the Southern Hemisphere, but longest day of the year here in the Northern Hemisphere, halfway to the winter solstice again. Okay, so here we are right in the middle of summer, right in the heart of summer. This is going to be the longest day of the year. I plan to stay up as late that day as possible and watch the sun go down on the 20th, sometime probably around 9 p.m. or later where I live, which is always a little fascinating. Also, the sun in Cancer brings about themes in our work, social, and civic lives, in our public-facing lives, themes of emotional initiative, taking care of others, nurturing ourselves, nurturing our home spaces. That's even on our mind in our outer life, okay? And the people that we keep close. This is about water. It's about cleansing. It's about hydrating and nourishing. Okay, so it might be, a good time to be cleaning up. It's definitely a good time if you're dealing with summer heat to be getting in the pool or swimming in the lake or doing something just to cool yourself off in the water. Dive in, make a splash. It feels so nice in the summertime. And then also on Friday, the moon is going to move into Taurus. So that's really complementary with the sun moving into Cancer and the moon into Taurus. That's water and earth. They're both less active vibes. The word I want to say is passive, but I don't want to give the idea that Cancers and Tauruses are passive people. Okay. The vibe is just less active and more relaxed, more allowing things to unfold. And I love that after all of this fire and air that we've been dealing with, and with all of this fire and air that we continue to deal with, that we've got some things moving on into earth and water to sort of balance it out and cool things off a little bit. Okay, so we can find ways to find emotional security, and we can find ways to think about our own physical security while we're also still concerned about what's going on in the greater world, because obviously there's just a lot going on and it impacts us all. And then on Saturday, the moon will be in Taurus. And of course, the moon in Taurus is, it's a time to sort of slow down and follow through. It is a time to set a pace and think about your personal security in your home life. Think about, it's a good time to make repairs to your house, for example, because you want them to last. That's when you get that's when you do repairs with the moon in Taurus. Or if you cut your hair with the moon in Taurus, it will grow back stronger. Or if you trim your weeds with the moon in Taurus, they'll grow back stronger. So, pay attention to what you're making strong with the moon in Taurus. And then on Sunday, the 22nd, we have a couple of bigger things happening. The first one is Mars sextiling Jupiter. Okay, and this is going to be an opportunity for grounded confidence and productivity, despite the frustration that we may be feeling. This is like a chance, like a golden opportunity, actually, to take actions that produce positive results for the longer term, and or on a larger scale than we've seen in some time. So coming up on Sunday, that's a really positive vibe. It's a vibe that says we can make progress. We can do what we need to do. Mars and Virgo is like, yes, let's get particular. Let's refine our actions so that we can part of that is about efficiency, strategy. Part of strategy is about efficiency. And that's what Mars in Virgo gives me, is real efficiency of movement, efficiency of action. And it's sort of like we're thinking about efficiency. And then in that sextile with Jupiter, that can help us get a lot more done, create a lot more of what it is we're trying to create. And then also on Sunday, the sun is going to square Saturn, which is conjunct within a degree or two of Neptune. So Saturn's full conjunction to Neptune is not until next year, because Saturn's creeping up on Neptune right now. They're really close, but he's going to back up before he gets to her. So I'm just saying that conjunction isn't complete until next year, but we're going to be dealing with these two being very close to each other for the next several months. So this is a moment in our work, social, and civic life where we're having a challenge. This coming Sunday, or a moment of tension. It's hard to know the truth when Saturn and Neptune are hanging out so close to one another. So my guidance for that, the guidance I received, so I'm passing it on to you, is stand by your principles, right? Pursue your goals and be as truthful as possible. And always, always use your powers for good, friends, okay? And that day, the moon also moves on into Gemini. That's the moon for thinking and dreaming and talking and sharing, planning, creating, expressing ourselves, especially among friends, free form. Just allow the energy and the expression and the art to flow out of you. So that is our coming week. I do want to say that the week after this one, June 23 through the 29th, that next week, okay, that is the launching pad. We're going to have a full moon in Cancer, conjuncting Jupiter in Cancer. Is that a full moon in Cancer for real? What is it? Show it to me. It's that full moon in Capricorn. I knew it was not Cancer. The sun is in Cancer. So not this week, but the next week, that's the full moon in Capricorn. It's going to be conjuncting Jupiter in Cancer. This is good fortune. It's a powerful time to start something. It's going to be a full speed ahead kind of moment. Okay. So this week feels challenging. It feels slippery. We're a little bit back and forth. We've got some good stuff. We've got some bad stuff, and that's going to continue to happen. Okay. The bad stuff continues to happen to remind us of how we could do better. But next week is a great time to really launch something, to get started on something that you want to see grow in the coming years.
Right. So, this has given me hella like New Year's Eve resolution vibes. Like maybe it is that we're kind of, I'm just talking about my personal life. Like I've been working on a daily routine forever, and I have commitment issues with the daily routine. And I don't know why, because I value structure and the routine. When I'm in a routine, like I am really good with it, but I also get a little obsessed with my routine and I get really rigid. So I'm really trying to approach this from a different direction than I've ever approached it before, and really unwinding some of the traumas and reasons why I do the things that I do, that I need to change, that I need to transform, that I need to, turn into something much more positive, and or just, get rid of or whatever. So it feels like I'm, doing that. And as we have other people surrounding us that are also, having the same, epiphanies. And I'll say a struggle, but I mean, it is a little bit of a struggle, like we're seeing something that's just kind of out of reach. And it is that it's just kind of out of reach because maybe it is that you took the step next to the step that you're supposed to take, and then it's like, damn, so you turn. It just doesn't mean that it's not going to happen or that it's not going to be something positive. It just is. We really have to be so open to let the universe guide us, to let the energy guide us, to let the our community guide us in the proper direction, so we can make these choices, better choices than we've made before.
Yeah.
like really long lasting choices than we made before. Like this is the time and the place. It sounds
Yeah.
so, if I were to hear this when I was 30 years old, I would laugh at me and be like, whatever, like, what we need is more love and compassion, but it's really true, like, and it really is true that you have to love yourself first. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, it's taken me a very long time to figure that out because it sounded so cheesy and hokey. And I'm like, of course I love myself. What the hell? I'm
Mhm.
here, right? Like I'm participating in life, but that's not exactly what we're talking about, like,
Mhm.
so I feel like a lot of us are here in this Chiron and Aries kind of moment too, just kind of pushing forward
Yeah.
into this new uh, air and fire. And I know that Gen X, we have a lot to say. And if we would just if we would stop shutting up and start speaking out in a very frank way,
Mhm.
in a Uranus kind of way, I think that we would really begin to transform some things.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I agree. And I wanna say, like,
I know that.
like, coming back
Go
to the
on.
self-love thing, about the self-care thing, it sounds trite, and it sounds like an ism to say that self-love is an inside job, but it really is. I know people who have struggled all their lives and continue to struggle with a lack of self-esteem, a lack of really liking themselves or understanding why they are likable or lovable. And there's nobody else that can do that for you. If you have to like look in the mirror every day and tell yourself that you love yourself, I mean, whatever you have to do to really build that esteem for yourself, build that liking for yourself, think about the things about you that you do like. um, there's a song that I'm being reminded of right now, and I want to ask you all to go give it a listen. It's called "I Like That." It's by Janelle Monáe, and she's just like, this is how I'm different, and I like that, and I don't really care if I'm the only one who likes that because I do. That's the kind of self-love we're looking for. That's the kind of self-esteem that we're looking for, right? Is like, I'm free to like what I like. I love what I love. It's fine. Nobody has to worry about it but me. So, keep working because it's not easy for any of us. I think everybody struggles a little bit with self-esteem from time to time, and then some people a little bit more than others, or some people more often. But it's worth the work. It's worth the effort to just try to learn to like yourself.
Right. And this week's astrology supports, the soft landing of some boundaries. Like once we put that
Mhm.
boundary out there, we can adjust that fence. We can move that wall back and forth as we see fit. But really, it's just doing it. It is the hardest part of anything. But really, with boundaries too, it's like, okay, I did that. And then every single
Mhm.
time that I think I'm going to get a response that has kept me from doing it, I don't. It never
Mhm.
happens. Never ever
Mhm.
happens the way I envision it or anything. So I
Mhm.
just have to keep remembering that because I still have a problem jumping off. But really setting a boundary, you know,
Yeah, that is a
it's hard,
marker
but
of that is a way of loving yourself too, is like not allowing somebody else to treat you a certain way, or just not allowing intrusions or interruptions when you don't want them, or
Mhm,
making it clear that, hey, I'm entitled to my opinion, I'm entitled to my perspective, I'm entitled to
mhm,
like the things that I like. You don't have to
mhm,
agree. That's also boundary
mhm,
setting and it's self-care.
mhm. Yeah, I have a friend that does boundaries. Is I see them using boundaries, and what they'll do is, and they're actually like using boundaries for me, like to protect me as opposed to protecting themselves. But I think it works both ways, which is great. But like so they'll like we're reconnecting, we're trying to figure out what's happened through years of time, and what's going on with us now as we all are. And it's kind of like I get told a part of the story, and it's like, okay, that's enough. That's enough of that story. That's all I can do. Like I don't have very many
Mhm.
people in my life, first of all, and I don't have very many people in my life who will actually do that. And they're like, I'm thinking about you too, because this is a lot. It's
Mhm.
a lot for me, and then it's a lot for you. So it's just like little bits and pieces. And while normally I might feel very impatient to that, I understand the timing of it. And I actually appreciate the fact that I'm not getting inundated with a lot of just like really serious, heavy stuff, because I'll do the serious, heavy stuff. It ain't no thing. But to think about it in a way of setting a boundary, like for the other person as well, I like that as an example, and it's taught me something just in that interaction. So
Yeah. I love that.
Arizona.
I love that. That's one way to set boundaries. Like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm open to this, but I'm only going to carry so much today because I'm going to have to take this and put it down somewhere before I can pick up more. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then I'll come and get some more because I care. I want to know. I
Right.
want to know.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
It's beautiful, man.
So that is our astrology for the coming week, friends. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes. So now we're doing the tarot reading, right? What have you come up with for that? I've got to stand up and get some water, I think.
Okay. Well, let's see. We have Mars moving into Virgo. So that's about refining our process. That's about getting particular about our goals. Let's see. And we've got the sun moving into Cancer, which is the summer solstice.
Yes.
So the first one is going to be Mars into Virgo. What are we getting particular about? How are we refining our actions at this time?
A second. Give me a minute. Okay. The first card question is what?
How are we refining our actions at this time? Like, what can we do better to reach our goals?
Okay.
Okay. Because Mars in Virgo is really about being particular about the outcome of your actions, and you know, when you are particular about the outcome of your actions, you're particular about the actions that you're taking. They have to go in a certain order. We want to make sure we take care of this before we do this, before we can take care of that, right? So it's just about really having a plan and knowing what we can do better.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got the Four of Wands.
Four of Wands.
So for me, this is about working together. This is about cooperation. And understanding that cooperating with people isn't just about working. It's also about being able to celebrate what we've managed to pull together.
Well, yeah, and I think this directly relates still to kind of what's going on here. You know, like how are we refining our actions to better reach our goals? Well, we're going to start relying on other people. You know, we're going to start, you know, having conversations with people that we didn't think that we'd ever have conversations with. You know, and open ourselves up to, you know, a different way of doing things, just a different structure and a way of going forward with all of it. So the only way that we can reach our goals is with help.
Yeah, exactly. No, we need help. We can't do this alone. And there's a little element in this picture of sort of putting what's already been created behind us and moving forward into a new reality together.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see that also as, you know, like you say, refining actions, and then you see that city in the background there, you know, like also, you know, knowing when it is to take a break, like refining how you're doing your daily activities. You know, this might be get out in nature, like you live in a concrete jungle. in that
Yeah.
card, like get out in nature, even if it's
Right.
just like over the hill a little bit where there's a little bit of grass.
If the goal is being able to do what you want to do with your body, if the goal is getting more activity,
Right.
nature trails are available everywhere now. It's so much easier to get out and walk and enjoy a carless environment for a while.
Right.
I highly recommend it.
Right. Yeah, we have to quit fighting with ourselves and fighting with other people in order to reach our goals. Like all of that negative stuff is just keeping us from doing that. And that's exactly the point. Like that's why all that chaos is there because, like, oh my gosh, what if we succeed? What if it works? What if we get along? What if it goes forward? Like that's what scares the hell out of me,
Yeah.
and how we attain our goals is by trusting someone. Trusting someone else. Like I know that
Mhm.
we're having to deal with financial institutions. We have to have, conversations with people that we, like subject matter that is not something that we like to talk about, but we're going to do it and it's going to be just fine,
Yeah.
and once we do it, I feel like something will open up, but like just quit fighting with yourself on whether or not you should do that or whether or not you should reach out to that person, which is exactly something I'm doing and struggling with. But I
Mhm.
think that it's very relevant with this card and what the energy is right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very Sun and Gemini vibes too. Like we
Yeah.
still have to cooperate. We still have to collaborate. We still have to keep it together.
Right. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no one ever brought a harvest in by themselves. Okay, we have
Right.
to work together to make big things happen.
Right.
And a harvest is about feeding an entire community. So that's important, and it takes more than one person
Right.
to work together.
Yes.
Okay, so second card today is for the summer solstice, sun going into Cancer, longest day of the year. I want to say, where can we shed a little light in people's lives by showing up with care and compassion? Does that sound like a question for the tarot?
Yes.
Okay. Where can we shed light in people's lives by showing up with care and compassion? The Ten of
Ooh. Ten of
Pentacles.
Pentacles.
Coming home to those people that you rely on and who rely on you, celebrating, being there with them, gathering around with all of your most supportive people.
Isn't that in another card? It's kind of like you just have enough to share and you finally to me, that card feels like, oh, you're with your people, like
Yeah.
that understand you. And now I have something to share with you. I have something to tell you. I have something to show you. I have something I want you to do
Well,
with me.
and in this environment, we all just get together with all of our stuff and we share it. We share our information, we share our wisdom, we share our security, we share our love and support, we share
Right.
food, we share accommodations,
Mhm.
all of it,
Right.
all of it.
I've been really sharing about menopause with some people my age and older lately, and
Uh-huh.
like in a way that I didn't think. Like, not that I'm worried about, not that I care to talk about it. I mean, but I'm just saying, like, it's just a topic that I hadn't given thought to having
Mhm.
conversation with the people that I'm having the conversations with about it.
Mhm.
And it is people that I've grown up with, like people that I started my period with. And now we're in, like everybody's ending it. Like, yay, we're still here. It's the
The
beginning of ending.
the thing that I love about this card is that the coins make a sign of Venus. So
Oh, yes.
it's really very much about like having your needs and desires met, having that sense of peace and comfort and connection that feels as though I have everything I need right here. So I think, when it comes to how we can shed light in people's lives by showing up with care and compassion. I would say show up for the people that you're closest to first and foremost. Always return to them, always share with them what you have to share. And yeah. And by doing that, then you get the benefit and they get the benefit too. And we all set a good example for one another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that, especially in the current climate. Like, again, just all the thousands of people that have gotten together, and like I am thinking about when I was protesting a lot in college. Like I organized protests a lot in college, and a lot of like information from the past from college has been coming to me, just like reminding me like, hey, they're out there, and I have a Pisces moon, and it was serious for me yesterday. Like I could feel the vibration of literal walking. I felt so tired by the end of the night from everybody in the community walking, whether it be protesting or just out on the trails. Like it was a day of movement. and you know what though, it inspired me because this morning I got up and I still felt that vibration, and so I walked around the block, and that's the first time I ever walked around the block. But I mean, it really gave me inspiration to do it. I was just like, oh, I can do this, I can do it.
Yes.
Sounds silly, but it's true.
I'm glad you're feeling so inspired, my love.
Yeah. Yes. I love it.
So community, collaborate, relax with your loved ones, collaborate, share what you got. Community.
Yes. Excellent.
And for anyone watching, I'm so happy to be part of my community, and I appreciate you showing up.
Yes, thank you so very much. All right, I think that's just going to conclude our Astro Insights Live for today. For our normal subscribers, be patient with us as, again, we're working through some programming. All of the, huh? What?
Nothing. I said changes.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. I mean, some positive changes. And if there's something that you would like to see on the channel, please don't hesitate to let us know in the comments of our videos or send us an email. All of our information, contact information is there. We do private readings if you'd like to contact us for that. Mel can do some astrology for you. Normally we upload Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. I'm not certain how many days we're going to be uploading, but please, if you haven't subscribed already, this is the time to do so you'll know when we upload again, and hit the notification bell. I know that we'll be back on Thursday to do some yes or no tarot, which is always fun, and I'm just not sure what time that's going to be. We had one good time, and then that good time turned into a good time summer, and we've got some long days coming up, and I'm really hoping that people spend some time outside, which means I also need to be spending time outside. So Mel and I are going to find a good balance with our content and our life so we can still continue to provide this for you. And your support in subscribing and liking our channel and continuing to watch is really, really important to us. And we are so grateful for you being here and watching and supporting us. So we'll be back tomorrow with a rerun of this and the tarot card reading, and we really appreciate you being here.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We'll catch you all in the next video.